Hello and welcome to one and all. I welcome you all to yet another very interesting episode for the Breast Cancer Action Month, an initiative of Integrated Health and Wellbeing Council with Rapid Global Cancer Alliance being powered by Novartis. So this is another episode where we are discussing on various different aspects around breast cancer, and this indeed is a very special episode because we have four panelists here with us today who would be sharing their own journey with breast cancer. So, the topic of the discussion is empowering life beyond breast cancer, thriving in survivorship. And I welcome everybody to this session. I welcome Dr. Neeti Lekha Chabra, who is founder and president of NGO Yes to Life, a breast cancer winner. I welcome Ms. C. Rekha Gulabani, who is director of Jagriti Indian Cancer Society and is a breast cancer survivor herself. I welcome Ms. Neerja Malik, who is a cancer counselor, inspirational speaker, and a breast cancer conqueror herself. I also welcome Ms. Savita Shekhawat, who is breast cancer survivor and managing trustee with CLAP Trust. I also welcome Ms. Aditi Roy, who is Associate Director for External Engagement and Pharma Communications and Patient Engagement with Novartis India. So I welcome you all to the show. Thank you so much for joining, for taking out time from your schedule, for imparting us knowledge on this very essential topic of life beyond breast cancer. So as the viewers, as the audience is all, mixed population, those who have had breast cancer themselves, or those whose family members maybe are having, or those who are just wanting to get aware on this topic, we would like to discuss how the experience of all our survivors have been around breast cancer so that the viewers that are watching are made more aware and are able to relate to the story of the real person behind, not just the science, facts, and fictions that doctors portray, but the real image. So, my first question is to Dr. Neeti. Ma'am, can you please share your personal experience with breast cancer? And if you can highlight any points that were good or bad in your entire care journey, whatever you would want to share.
Hi, thank you so much for having me over. I got diagnosed with breast cancer in 2012. I was 31 years old. My son was 2 years old. Very young, I think, to have breast cancer, at least those many years back, because now we even see girls in their 20s being diagnosed with breast cancer, so the age of getting is becoming younger and younger, unfortunately. And thankfully, there was no family history. I got married at the right age. I had my son at the right age. I breastfed him. So no high risk factor. And not that I knew about any, honestly. I was very naive. I had never ever been spoken about breast cancer. I did not know that something like the self-breast exam even existed. But God was very kind and the lump was on the surface of the breast. So it was just a chance encounter that I felt it. And I thought that it's related to menses, since during periods, a lot of us feel certain changes. And I slept on it for around 2 months. Not that I ignored it, but I'm a very carefree person, So just because I thought that it's nothing to worry about, I completely forgot about it. And 2 months later, when I realized that it's still there, so I knew that, there's something serious going on here. And I didn't even know what kind of a doctor to go to if you have a breast lump. So I actually Googled, and got an appointment with the doctor, went after a week. And the ultrasound report said that the lump was benign. So you can imagine how happy, me and my husband were on having a report in our hand that said that the lump was benign. But again, thankfully, the doctor said that since it's a lump in the breast, we should not ignore it and get an FNAC done. Got it done. And 2 days later, I was called to the center along with my husband to collect the report. So I knew it can't be good, when you're being called with a loved one to collect the report. And that is how the whole journey began. While it was an early stage breast cancer, but I underwent mastectomy as a part of my treatment, which means that one side of my breast was removed, followed by chemotherapy and then hormonal medication for 6 years. And, I somehow had this very, very strong faith that I'm going to be okay. And when I broke the news to my parents, to my younger sis, I remember I was hugging them and telling them that don't worry, it'll be fine, and I did not want any kind of ifs and buts around me. I just wanted myself and everyone around me to believe that this is just a phase and this will pass. And thankfully it did. Not saying that it did not come with any ups and downs. Of course it does. The treatment is not that easy, but it's not that difficult also as we make it up in our minds. I was only and only afraid about nausea. When the treatment was to start, nothing else. Loss of hair, I knew I would get my hair back, weakness, this and that. You do feel in a lot of other illnesses also. But the only fear that I had was with nausea, because as a child, I've had very bad experiences. And to the extent, I remember that, when the doctor came to my room for the first round of chemo, I told him, please, mujhe kam dawai dena. That was the extent of fear I had against nausea. But to everyone out there whose treatment might be starting, it is not as difficult as we make it up in our mind, So the very, very important fact is to feel positive around it, because there's no other option rather to get the treatment, And for me, I accepted the news as soon as I got the call from the center, asking me to come and collect the report. And that is how the healing also began that sooner. A lot of people start to question, why me? Let me tell you that you can never, ever find an answer to that. If you don't ask that question if you have a fracture, you don't ask this question if you have viral, you don't ask that question if, God blesses you with something good in your life. So let's not concentrate too much on finding an answer to it if somebody gets diagnosed with cancer, because honestly, there's no good answer to it. And through my experience, I can share that as soon as you accept it, that is when you can start to think what to do about it, which doctor to go to, what are the action plans, and that is where the healing starts.
Thank you so much, Dr. Neeti. I have another question for you that we would like to know from you. That, what would be your thoughts and suggestions to all the viewers that are watching around early detection of breast cancer? As you shared that in your own experience, you felt that, it's not something that you were ignoring, but you just felt that it is not something that complicated and it would go away with time, or it's just like any other common cold that we just feel कि अभी है बाद में चला जाएगा, nothing to worry about. So what would be your advice to the viewers that are watching around this? And can you please highlight the importance of awareness? Because I feel still now many women out there in India do not have any clue around breast cancer or cancer at all, and are fortunate to not see that in their families, but at the same time not aware of this topic entirely. So what would be your message out there around this?
So very, very good question being put, because awareness is the key to catching it early. And breast cancer is actually a type of cancer that can be cured in most cases if diagnosed early. I remember my doctor telling me, oh, you have a very good type of cancer. And I was just sitting across the table from her, and wondering how can any cancer be good? But as I read more about it, I understood actually that was true. So awareness is no doubt the key to early detection. There is no other way out. And of course, if you are above 40, then please get regular mammograms done, because mammogram is one tool which can carry the, which can help you to diagnose the smallest of lumps also, which are possible. But even for women below the age of 40, please do regular self-breast exams, because while I know that a lot of studies say that clinical breast exams, that doctors perform on the women physically, or self-breast exam that the lady herself has to perform, may not really bring down the mortality rate, but I have seen them downstaging breast cancer, and that is one tool that each one of us, and every girl above the age of 18 should be doing it every month. How to do it? There are so many videos available, and I really, really ask all of you to go watch these videos and start to do these examinations. And, I started an NGO in 2014 called Yes to Life. And 2 years back, we started a new center in Sector 45 Gurugram, where we are reaching out to all the women in the villages. And we go door to door for breast cancer awareness. We tell them how to do self-breast exam, signs and symptoms, etc. We have a free of cost OPD screenings, etc. for them. And I have seen ladies coming to our center who have found lumps only by doing self-breast exam. So this is not something that I'm sharing just what we have heard from the doctor, but we are seeing it every day ourselves, that ladies to whom we give these brochures, they do their self-breast exam and they come to the doctor on our OPD days with a lump that they have found. And had they not done this, they would still have had to go to a doctor, but then in a much, much later stage, because breast cancer is known as a silent killer, because in a lot of cases, by the time the symptoms start to appear, it has reached an advanced stage. So the best way to catch it early is through awareness. So ladies, any kind of change that you find in your breast, please don't think on your own that what it might be. Please go and seek help of a doctor. It is a doctor only who can tell you whether or not it is something serious. And even if it is something non-cancerous, you still need some treatment for that. And there is no running away from it. There is no sleeping in the night and wishing it away when you get up in the morning. There's no way but to take it head on, whatever the change is in your breast. Most of the changes in the breast are not cancer, so please don't become paranoid if you find anything. It only and only means that you need to go and see a doctor. That is all. But awareness is the only thing that can help anyone catch this disease at an early stage.
Thank you so much, Dr. Neeti. Thank you so much for sharing all these points. We will come back to you. But before then, I have more questions for our other panelists. So my next question is to Ms. Neerja Malik. Ma'am, you have been following, with advocacy around breast cancer since so many years and, inspiring so many people with your journey. Can you please share your personal journey with us on this episode as well, so that more and more people are made aware around this aspect of breast cancer? And if there were any areas in your journey which were good or bad, what do you feel about the entire thing?
It would just take me a couple of hours to explain all this. So I will practice being brief.
Okay.
So first of all, I'm very happy with what Neeti spoke. She kind of took away all the points, which I'm sure are common to all of us who have conquered cancer. But I will tell you that both times I self-detected it. Because the first time, and please congratulate me, darlings, because 25 years back, on Friday the 13th February, 1998 was the first time that I got left breast cancer. And then 2004 November, it was right breast cancer. So what journey I have gone through is that with the background of social work and BEd, when I got detected and I finished my surgery in Bombay, my mother said, come to Bombay, because in Chennai I had my husband and 7-year-old twins. So she said, your entire support system is in Bombay. So instead of all of us coming to Chennai, you please come into your treatment. So I would fly to Bombay, get it done, come back after my surgery, go back for each individual chemo, 6 of which I had, come back and then get the kids for the holiday. Now, I do want to share something with you that I do have a video which I promote, in the sense that there was one entire year where I did spreading the knowledge of this video. And I made everyone take a pledge saying that this video should be passed on to at least 10 people on their WhatsApp. And I think it kind of went viral. And before I put it on YouTube, I got Dr. Selvi Radhakrishnan, who is everyone I think knows her. So she started the breast clinic in Chennai, and she's done wonderful work. So I made her go through that video. I said, I will not put it on the net until you okay it. So that's the background that we have to that video. And secondly, I do want to say that self-examination is a very key point. And someone did bring up, not someone, Neeti did bring up the fact that awareness is important. So let me tell you that I have come across patients who have breastfed their 6-month-old and then been diagnosed with cancer. And then what they've done is they are from villages or from places where awareness is not there. They refuse to touch their baby. They refuse to let their husband touch them. And the only people that they allowed to touch them was their mother and father. because they felt that just by touch, the cancer will spread. So it took me 3 months to break that, inhibition or that anxiety or that agitation that she had. And it worked. Because some years later, about 4 or 5 years later, she called me up from a hospital. And she said that her child is now that much old and she's just delivered the second one. So that was phenomenal news. But everyone has a story, a tale to tell. Like she didn't want anyone to touch her, thinking that just by touch, she is going to spread this disease. So that takes time. Secondly, there is another woman I helped who's about 82, and she did have a pacemaker, and she needed a mastectomy. And she was distraught. She was a Muslim, and she said that, I am a shaitan. So I said, why do you say that? I mean, I was quite horrified at the strong word that she used. And she said, because my body is disfigured. Therefore, I will be ostracized and Allah will not love me. So this is what I told her. I said, see, God is all merciful. Allah loves everyone. And you won't believe it. She was, just as she was going to go in for her surgery, I was allowed just short of the sancto sanctorum of the theater. And I stood with her. Her hands were trembling like birds. I held her hands and I said, let us pray. And she looked startled, and I started off with La ilaha illallah Muhammad. And you won't believe it, in 10 minutes, she had completely calmed down. And I stopped saying it. She opened her eyes and she said, you are Muslim. And I said, yes, because it doesn't matter to me what or where I come from. The fact of the matter is that according to her, Allah has sent a messenger. So we have to turn things around. I keep getting all these wonderful ideas in ways of which to help people to overcome whatever they're going through. And I make them feel so good about it. Now, how does this happen? Because I have always had a positive attitude. But let me tell you, I wept for 3 days because my twins were only 7. And I was told that you have 25% chances of survival. Unfortunately, not in India. You will have to go to America or France, where they had started stem cell research. And I wept for 3 days. Not in front of the twins, of course, but after 3 days of weeping, it suddenly occurred to me that did God come down and wag his finger at me and say, you better start counting backwards. You're gonna die and you better beware. That was the turning point in my treatment. I wiped my eyes and I realized a couple of things. Then I realized that I need, therefore my patients need a goal to carry on. So for me, I wiped my eyes, no more tears shampoo, and I said, I'm going to live for my twins. So now God is great. I have gone through cancer twice, septicemia 3 times. In the last 25 years, I have been counseling patients for 25 years, quarter a century, and I'm so happy that I made a lot of mistakes. Things like low immunity, not getting my blood test done on time, going out to a mandir, going out to a gurdwara, going to Haji Ali, walking through, have a lot of beggars on either side, going and have lunch outside someone's house where the woman who kissed me, I could feel the fever emanating from her. And by the time I got home, of course, I must proudly say that the first thing I did on my birthday was go to a diagnostic center and get my blood tested, which I should have done the previous, having planned such a wonderful celebration of my birthday. My parents were standing at the door with my blood test. So please, everyone, remember that prior to your next chemo, you must get your CBC, etc., done as the doctors advise, not on the last day, so that dependent on that, you can decide. If I had seen that report one day earlier, I would never have left, forget the house, I wouldn't have left my room. So these are things that I've made mistakes because my chemo was then delayed for 10 to 15 days because of the raging temperature. And finally, the doctor said, excusez-moi, we are going to give you steroids to catch hold of the temperature. You have to get your chemo done. So I'm very glad I made a lot of mistakes. For instance, when I went to Bombay, the doctor said, I'm going to do a lumpectomy. And I went down on my knees and I begged him as if I was proposing to him, no, please do me a mastectomy. And he said, why? That was a very important day for me to learn, which I want to share with everyone, that different hospitals, different doctors, different states, different cities think differently about how to treat a patient. So perhaps the safest thing to do is to have a mastectomy. I begged him, please do me a mastectomy. And he said, no, why should I? And like Neeti said, he did a wonderful drawing where he showed me the exact location of my lung. And he said that, see, if it had been near the wall, I wouldn't even have thought about it if the wall of the chest. But because it is in the outer quadrant, I can exactly take it away with a margin so that you can conserve or preserve your breast. Now, that was an eye-opener. I've managed to help a lot of women because when you get a mastectomy, it is a larger wound. When you get a lumpectomy, it is a smaller cut and it heals. So, of course, your healing takes much quicker than in a lumpectomy than it would in a mastectomy. But, of course, I always say, God is doc, doc is God, and the doctor thinks the best for his patients. If he doesn't give you a choice, would you like a lumpectomy or a mastectomy? That means that you have to get a mastectomy done. So there's no question. If the choice is there, please understand the situation properly so that you can decide. Secondly, she got a very beautiful point. She said, why me? True. Now, I tell my patients, don't say why me. Because if you say why me, it is like digging your own grave. And where does the mud go? Right onto your head and pushes you further into the earth. So don't say why me, because what happens when you say why me? It is only indulging, delving, drowning in self. And we all know that if Anjanaya, or in other words, Hanuman, is flying overhead, and he looks down and he says, oh my God, there's Nirja, I can help. Is Nirja open to being helped? No, she's not receptive. So there's so many things that one can talk about. These are a few points that I picked up.
Interesting, ma'am. Interesting.
Yes.
We will come back to you on all these
Absolutely.
psychosocial aspects again.
Yes,
Before that, I will take one question from other panelists
certainly.
as well.
Certainly.
We'll dive deep into you with you on these topics because they are very necessary for the discussion. My next question is to Ms. Savita. Thank you so much for patiently listening. I believe you are on the way with some network issue. So that is why I'm aiming to take your inputs before we lose your network. Yes, can you please share some of your journey and your experience with the breast cancer, whichever you feel comfortable, sharing with the audience, and also how this has impacted your life as you are also the managing trustee of Clap Trust. What, in what areas are you working? So your journey and all the various different efforts that you are doing right now. Both.
Thank you, Dr. Aswari and everybody else. It's actually I'm sorry about this. I was traveling and I have to really took some time and I borrowed the phone because I'm facing some network issue. But anyhow, I will quickly talk about my own journey. I was diagnosed in almost 4 years ago, and as you know, it happened with everyone. It was truly a shock for me because I was diagnosed at the age of 35, and I used to think, I remember in my previous organization when there was a cancer awareness session for the women, breast cancer awareness session. I was like, okay, I'm going to do my regular test every year once I turn 40. Never ever thought that it can happen much previous to that. And that was the first lesson for me. And the second thing was, though I was very careful, however, my first doctor, my gynec, would not diagnose it. So the first very important message I would like to convey is, it's very important. I think as a woman, we know how our body is, and if there is something in us which tells
Okay.
audible.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Continue.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm audible. So don't even think of that if first opinion is fine. Don't it's very important to rule it out. Once it is rule it out, so go for second opinion to oncologist and get it ruled it out. That's a very important thing which I learned during my own journey. And after my diagnosis, I felt I'm so educated. I am living in a metro city in a Bangalore. I have access to the bestest of hospitals and the healthcare system. Still, it could have gone undiagnosed. So important it is about to talk about it, to let people know, to let women, men, everybody know that what are the symptoms and why it is important to do self examination, as Dr. Niti has already mentioned. And and the sick and that made me to really think. I remember connecting to Nija ma'am also, because I wanted to know how I can contribute. And in no doubt this experience is very difficult. I'm learning in this experience, but how I can make use of this experience to contribute in my own way. So in the same process, I'm in the same stream. I try to connect with different people, different NGOs. Even in my organization, I have taken, initiated certain things where we make sure that we are doing these sessions on time. And with then came this CLES Trust, which is actually initiated by Cancer Survivors in India support group, where we all survivors and caregivers have come together and trying to help other patients in whatever way, whether it is awareness, whether it's the opinion of the doctor, whether it is connecting with other patient, emotional connect, all the areas we are trying to cover with the help of each other. So it's purely on our interest. We all are volunteers and nothing else. So that's the efforts we are putting in, and I'm glad that I could, I was part of this panel discussion today. So I wanted to let everybody know that even, so I mean, this is a very live example, because normally who has not who has just heard about this disease feel once they are diagnosed their life is going to change. They can't do things which they used to do. But as Nija ma'am said, and everybody else might have experienced, I'm traveling much more than what I used to be. I'm working in better organization where I used to work, and I think I'm doing much more what I used to do, living a happier, healthier and fulfilling life. So even if it is diagnosed, even if it is diagnosed, it's not an end. It's a start of another, as we say, another chapter, another, you get to know a new version of yourself.
My next question is to Miss Rekha. Ma'am, आप patiently हमें सुन रहे हो. You've been patiently listening to us. Can you please share your journey with breast cancer and all the thoughts and feelings that you had right from the starting when you suspected it, from when it was detected, your treatment plan, all your thoughts around the same?
Yeah. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to share my experiences, which I have experienced so many times. We have explained so many times. My life has been a little abnormal, not a normal life like other women, because as a young girl, I was dead against the institution of marriage. thinking that men are very dominating, they always trouble you, in-laws are always very demanding. So why to get into trouble? Enjoy your life, earn yourself, and be your own master. So as God would have it, destiny you can't change. So I met my husband, who was also against the institution of marriage. So we were very good friends, because we were both of the same opinion that marriage is just going into hell. So let's be good friends and be happy together without getting into romantic linkage or anything like boyfriend, girlfriend, nothing. This was my precondition, that you will never talk about marriage, nothing like boyfriend, girlfriend. We are just like any other friend, So this went on for many, many years. And, at the end of it, I started going to his house and all that. And then the things leaked out and everything. Then my mother-in-law was after us to get married. But fortunately, unfortunately, it was too late for me to get married. I was 42 when I got married, and my husband was 39. And somehow, because I got too attached to him, he got too attached to me. And we also thought that we can't do without each other. We got so used to each other during those 10 years of our friendship, that we got married. And all this getting married late, having no kid, I conceived in the beginning, but had a miscarriage before I could understand that I conceived. Because when I felt I had conceived, people laughed at me. You can't conceive at the age of 42. You are just making a fool of yourself. Even I thought I am just daydreaming. So it's nothing like that. But I had a miscarriage. And then I realized that I had conceived. And then I tried very hard to conceive. So I gave myself all the reasons to get breast cancer, getting married late, having no kids, then taking all the hormonal treatment to conceive. And finally, when I was 44, then one doctor told me, stop it, otherwise you will get breast cancer, because you are getting all the estrogen and hormones, and which are very bad for health. So stop it. Then I stopped it. My husband also told me to stop it. And when I was, say, around 47, so I started feeling a throbbing sensation in my left breast. I never had done any breast self-examination, but when I had that throbbing sensation, immediately I touched it, pressed it, and I felt a very peanut-sized lump in my breast. And I knew it could be cancer. And you won't believe it, I was very happy I had cancer, because now I could die very happily without troubling my husband or my family. And then my husband could get married to a younger woman and have his family. So I still today feel I shouldn't have married him.
No,
He's
ma'am,
too
it's
good.
not like that.
Too good. But then I never told him. For 3 years, I kept it to myself. When I was nearing 50, I had my menopause. And within 5 months, that small peanut lump became 5 centimeters. Then I had to tell. My husband took me to the doctor. The doctor said, now the chances of her survival are very bleak. So even if you get her treated, she wouldn't live for more than 3.5 years. Now it is 25 years, I'm still alive. And I'm quite fit and healthy. But I think this was a blessing in disguise for me. Though I was very sad at that time, that it proved how much I am loved by my husband, my mother-in-law, my in-laws, my brothers and sisters, because I felt so important, so much love. Nobody otherwise tells you, we care for you, But when you are sick and you have such cancer type of disease, the families, then my husband assured me, even if you die, I'm not going to get married again, because we got married very late. Had I wanted to get married, I would have got married much before, because he was also nearing 40 when we got married. I'm 3 years older to him. And then really he assured me of his love. And I think it was blessing in disguise. I got so much love, importance in my family. And then I started reading scriptures. And scriptures told us that after the age of 50, you should do some social work, and no life is perfect. You should accept your life as it is, and everything has a message. And when I started going for my treatment, I had 12 chemos and 35 radiation, mastectomy, everything. After 1 month, I forgot about my own disease. When I looked at others, some people's husband never cared for them, or somebody left them, or they were very poor. They could not afford the treatment. Some were so young. I felt I have lived my life. But she's only in her 30s. she still has to live her life. So I started crying for them. Somebody, they are not rich enough to have servants cook food for them. She would be feeling nausea and still cooking at home. So I felt I'm so lucky. I've got everything on platter, and these women are suffering so much. And then my husband told me, you pray to God that if you get ordered, you would do something for these women. And our Vedas also tell us that after the age of 50, you should serve others. So, otherwise, perhaps I would never have done this social service. God gave me this warning because I was a very happy-go-lucky person, used to enjoy my life thoroughly. I enjoyed my childhood. I enjoyed my youth thoroughly, So as per my generation, whatever it was. And now when I look back, for last 20 years, I have been working as a social worker. And when I started going to help them, in the beginning, I thought I would just go for 2 days a week and then give emotional support like Nirja ji. But then I realized emotional support, वो कहते हैं ना कि जरूरी है कि महसूस है किसी का जख्म दिल पहले, सिर्फ लफ्जों की हमदर्दी कभी मरहम नहीं होती, हंसा के रोते चेहरों को नहा लो चांदनी में तुम, कहीं दुनिया में ऐसी पुरसुकून पूनम नहीं होती. You are telling them you will get all right, everything is fine, but where is the money? Where are the other problems? A lower middle class person, the white collar person, they cannot sleep on the road because they're educated people, but they are not rich enough to afford a hotel room even for 3,000 rupees per night, which is too expensive for their pocket. So then I started going from street to street, finding ways and means to make them stay free of cost, to get them funding and all that. Then I started writing a resource directory where I made a list of all those dharmshalas, and there are around more than 20 places where they keep the patients free of cost, boarding and lodging, and some maybe on a very nominal cost, 50 rupees per night, maybe 20 rupees per night, 100 rupees per night. And then then I found there are 11 government schemes which help them financially. Then there are diagnostic centers which give a lot of discounts. So I started doing all that sort of research and compiled a book called Resource Directory, giving the list of all those people who can come to her, giving wigs, compression garment, bras, prosthetics, diagnosis, financial help, charity things, government rules. And there are so many government rules. Though unfortunately they are not followed, like charity bags and all that, which is being followed to some extent in Delhi, but nowhere else all over India. I am trying hard to ask other NGOs all over and beyond Delhi to use that act of government to help people. They are not active in that. And then there are other rules which are not followed at all, which I am trying very hard to say. And I'm very happy that hundreds of women come and tell me that, ma'am, you are like a goddess to us. We saved our breast because of you. You made us aware through your awareness talks. So we went for diagnosis. We did breast self-examination and we caught it at stage 0 and we saved our breast. And we got only 4 chemos and very less radiotherapy. So, less treatment, less time, less trauma, and almost 100% chances of survival. So which is wonderful. I think cancer is better than many other diseases. And it was a message of God for me. Though it sounds a little superstitious, even I feel it is superstitious, but I experienced the presence of God, Lord Hanumana on the first day when I was getting my chemo. And he told me, you would survive, let anybody say whatever they want to say, and you be confident. And I believed him. And after that, I hardly cried. And I was very happy. And I told my husband I would survive. Halaki, in my family, people used to imply that I would not survive. Like when I came from the hospital, my husband gave me a golden chain to make me happy. So some people from my in-laws family, they said, oh, he was emotionally spent this money. You are not going to use this chain. Why did you allow him to spend so much money? So people used to imply it. Why don't you donate your clothes yourself? So all these things. But I think God has always been kind to me. Even in cancer, he has given me so many good things. He gave me good friends like Nirja ji and, Aditi and even Niti Lekha and others also. And my Indian Cancer Society, I have learned a lot. Now I work hard on the issues of breast cancer women during the treatment, after the treatment, and how to deal with it. So I have made a PPT on that, and I explained to them what to do with your, cognitive issues, your physical issues, your psychological issues, your social issues, and financial issues. Thank you. I think I'm talking too much. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Rekha ma'am. That was beautiful journey that you shared.
Can I just say one thing here?
Yeah, please.
Rekha, phenomenal. But guess what? I loved your romantic story. Never again are you ever going to say, I shouldn't have married him.
I shouldn't have married otherwise.
But
I have got the best husbands in the world. People get surprised. In the beginning, my brothers and sisters used to think that I'm telling lies. No man can be that good. But now when they experience themselves, and even my mother-in-law, wonderful woman. So he is like
God
his
is great.
mother,
God
He
is
his
great.
mother.
Sorry
Such
for
a
the
loving mother
interruption.
she was.
I just wanted to tell you, आगे से कभी नहीं कहो I should
कहोगे नहीं, शादी नहीं करनी चाहिए.
this whole thing
Yeah.
has conspired to make you what you are,
What you are.
including your husband, Hanumanji, God, Sharnagati, Vedas, everything put together. You rock.
And,
Thank you so much.
whether it's true or false, at least that gave me hope. Thank you.
Yes, definitely. So my next question is to Miss Aditi, and ma'am, there is a reason I have positioned your questions to the very end of the episode. We wanted to understand more of the real, picture, what goes behind and in the minds and hearts of women who suffer or who, have to go through such sort of experience in their life. So as we saw these strong women, willed, very strong-hearted women, very inspirational women share their own journey. We saw many underlying areas that were brought forward, not just the medical treatment aspect, because that has been discussed through and through in many episodes, but the underlying aspects, that is the importance of faith in one's journey, the aspect of that I'm cursed just because I'm detected with breast cancer, the entire difficult experience that they undergo through, and the social stigmas, the myths around breast cancer from the society, from their relatives, from their loved ones, even that they have to face. We also saw that most of the women do not anticipate, and you and me included, nobody would even anticipate having, breast cancer ever in their life or being prepared for it. That is not something that humans prepare for, the worst of the worst. So that the fear and the anxiety around what if this turns out to be cancer, and because of that fear, not getting themselves checked. Also the other aspects of chemo, which were hair loss, loss of weight, gauntness, however that is portrayed in movies as well around cancer. And also a very big thing is considering having acquired breast cancer or any cancer as the end to life sentence. So we would like to know how can women work towards overcoming these stigmas that are prevailing in Indian society or societies in general, and what would be the role of opinion leaders such as pharma organizations, healthcare professionals, advocacy groups. What, according to you, should be a comprehensive way to support such people?
Thank you so much, Dr. Sabri. And first of all, thank you for having me on this very, very power-packed panel, actually. I have been sitting here and listening to these bone-chilling experiences, but also gaining so much strength and positivity from all of you. I mean, I think listening to survivor stories is nothing short of miraculous. But, a very important point is I am turning 40 in 2 days. And I've never got a mammogram done. I've been attached to the healthcare industry for 13 years. And before that, 7 years, I was working with various governments on health-related issues only. And I've been a part of a pharmaceutical company for the last 7 years. And so the level of awareness, actually, naturally is supposed to be high. I've looked at some data also recently that in India, especially in the metro cities, for a condition like breast cancer, the awareness is 80%. I was shocked. 80%, because it's become a celebrity disease, right? You have like these pink t-shirts being worn at World Cup matches, you have celebrities running, doing walks, pharma organizations all across are doing so many initiatives, right? So awareness to an extent, at least in the metropolitan cities, is there. It's the action, it's the niyat kehte hain na, and also the fact that people feel mujhe nahi hoga. And I think all of us here, I think all you beautiful survivors, most of you chanced upon it. So how do we move from the problem of awareness to actually empowering people to take the necessary action, whether it is at the screening level, whether it is for those, the general population, me, how do I take the action of actually checking and ensuring that if I were to get breast cancer, it's diagnosed early so that the chances of it completely getting out of my system or cured are very, very high. In India, 70% of the cancer cases are diagnosed, breast cancer specifically, in stage 3, stage 4, 70%, versus in the US, it's only 20%. So fundamentally, 100%, there's a role that all the stakeholders in the healthcare ecosystem need to play. It's more than just stigma being addressed. Of course, the work that Nirja ma'am you spoke about, phenomenal. I've worked very closely with Rekha ma'am. I've been very fortunate to know her and, really draw so much inspiration, knowledge, and trying to take these best practices and scale them up. I think that is one of the responsibilities that many pharma companies, as well as doctors today, hospital units, the government, all of us are trying to come together. I just wanted to call out one disclaimer that I'm not an official spokesperson while I work for Novartis, but I'm here just to share my experience of working with patient advocacy groups, because that is one question, Asavri, that you put forth, right? What is the role of patient advocacy groups? I think that all these ladies, these powerful women have already called out. Rekha ma'am, of course, I mean, since I've closely worked with her, I know that there's a lot that is being done at various stages of the patient's journey, right? So from awareness to screening to once the patient is diagnosed, trying to address the psychological, financial, all basically the stages. I mean, that's a very powerful place. Now, as a pharmaceutical company, in the last 7 years, what I've observed is that we are increasingly trying to help wherever we are able to build capabilities and capacities of patient groups, patient leaders, to ensure that how do they get a seat on the table? How is their voice included if a policy is being made? How is it that they are consulted when programs are made, when content is made, that the content is something that is helpful? Very simple conversation that we were having recently is cancer today is all clubbed into one big monster, right? And I think Savita mentioned this, that, the doctor told her hers is a good cancer. ये तो अच्छा है, ये वाला अच्छा cancer है. And that's like the breast cancer part. I mean, she was mentioning, right, that इसमें hope है. And therefore, I think specifically the stigma around breast needs to be handled in a way that patients need to understand. And therefore, doctors, government people need to talk about this fact that different cancers have very different journey that the patient goes through. For breast cancer, very specifically, if diagnosed early, there is treatment and you can move forward. So we have a program called APIS Rekha ma'am, of course, is a part of that. We would love to extend and seek the opportunity to work with the patient leaders that I've met here today. We have a series of program under APIS wherein we co-create a lot of content together, trackers, meaningful discussion guides that patients can benefit from. We also have regular training sessions for patient advocacy groups, depending on the need of various organizations. So that is one. The second aspect is that recently we've also tied up with the Network 18 group, which is a media conglomerate. And we've brought in, patient leaders to have a seat on the table. We've recently concluded a panel discussion which will appear on Sunday on CNN News 18. And we've tried to see how doctors from government institutions, private institutions, state government institutions, for example, we've signed an MOU with Tata Trust and the Assam government very recently about increasing screening. So there are a lot of such initiatives where we are trying to tackle not just awareness, but actually encouraging people, destigmatizing cancer, talking about how breast cancer within that can be caught early. Please catch it early so that you can be treated and live a fuller and longer life.
Thank you. Claire, I would like to say something.
Yes.
Personally, I have learned a lot from Novartis. Though I work on my, follow my heart while I work, but Novartis polished my work to a great extent, giving us idea for the health literacy, having health awareness literature for the healthy people, for the patient, and for the after the treatment, and then they motivated me to learn about metastatic breast cancer, various aspects of that, and then I compiled a book on that, talking about the different aspect of metastatic breast cancer, which I never thought of before. The idea was given by Novartis, and they also gave the idea of peer navigation, which was very, and then our visibility, use of social media. And I've learned all these things from the Novartis workshops they organize from time to time and invite the NGOs, volunteers like this, and which is very, very helpful for us to work, They give us food for thought, they give us ideas, and then they make us work a lot, that is there.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for the real testimony. And I agree, we do make you work a lot. But we learn so much from you all. That's how we curate all of this content.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
May I say something here, please?
Yes, ma'am, please.
So I love the word that Aditi used about demystifying, because that is how I believe everything. So let me share a very small example of a lump in the breast, a malignant lump as opposed to a benign lump. So this is what I say, and it's very simply said. I don't think anyone in the whole wide world would have said it. I say that there is an apple, and there is a bit of an apple that is not all right. So what do? We take a knife, we scoop it out with the margin and chuck it. Now, the breast is literally an out-of-body experience. That's why the breast cancer is considered to be the best cancer possible, because it is out of the body. You can do with it as you wish and get rid of it. So when people are diagnosed, I normally tell them that, fantastic, you've been diagnosed, which is wonderful. Now, consider the apple, consider the lump that you don't want to eat. Knife is surgery. Scoop it out, it's thrown, you're cured. We're cured. But then why do we have to do chemo and why do we have to do radiation? So I said, okay, if I buy you a gift, will I just buy the gift and say, here you are? No. I will take the gift, put it into a box, wrap it up. Now, putting it into a box and wrapping it up is chemotherapy. The cure is the knife. Cured, finished, over and done with. The chemotherapy is the wrapping and the box. And why do you need it? Because if a naughty cell escapes into the bloodstream and goes all over the body, and finds a nice house to grow fat and live there, you don't want that to happen. So consider the chemotherapy as this wrapping paper and the box. And then you have radiation, which is the pink ribbon around the box. Now, where is the radiation? On the bed of the tumor. Because you might have left something there while you're scooping it out. You don't want that to work and misbehave. So this is how I explain it. Total demystifying. And I talk to them that when the chemo was coming into my body, I would talk to the divinity in the chemotherapy and actually say, get rid of the bad cells and please leave my good cells alone. So there is an entire system that I've created with imagination, with stories that actually works with patients. And I always say, don't talk about it. Because last point, my cousins and I, we spoke in 1981 December in LA, sitting on the staircase till 4 in the morning. And the last question I said was, who next? Because in my family, 3 generations, 43 cases of various different types of cancer. We literally said, and please listen to me carefully, we literally said, "Ah, bel mujhe maar." Because December 81, I was diagnosed in Feb of 1998. The other cousin, older one who was with me, breast cancer again in June of 2001. And the third cousin, she was diagnosed in 2008 October with lumps in both the breasts, and both the cancers were different, which I had never come across in my life. So Shah Rukh Khan kehta hai na, when you put something into the universe, it gives it back to you. I always tell people, don't consider, will I get it again? Don't consider, oh my God, what's going to happen? Dispense with the thought. Live a life. Laughter is the best medicine. Your treatment is not an end. It is a detour to get you back to where you were. And like someone said, it's not as bad as it seems. So God bless all of you. What an interesting conversation.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And definitely, Neeja ma'am pointed out the power of positive affirmations as, in one line, if we can summarize. Many books on the same talking about this aspect. And definitely it works. I have also been using positive affirmations in my day-to-day life. I've been fortunate. So with that, we wrap up this super interesting episode today. We couldn't have any more impactful episode to wrap up this series of Breast Cancer Action Month more than this. Thank you so much. But before I let you all go, I would want one key takeaway message from all of you, for all the viewers that are watching, as October is the Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and we are commemorating the month by raising more awareness. So starting with Dr. Neeti. Ma'am, your key takeaway message, please.
There are just 2 things that I want to say. One is awareness, like I've already said it, but again to say it, while signing off, that awareness is the key when we're talking about breast cancer. And if you do find a change, then please go to the doctor, because sooner or later you will have to, trust me, and later should not be too late. So please go to the doctor at the right time when you find the smallest of change in your breast, because this type of cancer is curable mostly if diagnosed at an early stage. And don't think of breast cancer as a death sentence. I've been through it, and it can be start of a very beautiful life. It's just how you take it, the stage at which you're being diagnosed, and how your life is ahead of you, which again comes back to being aware and being diagnosed at the right stage. So that's very, very important to be aware about your own body. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Neeti. Ms. Rekha, ma'am, your key takeaway message.
Not only breast cancer, of course, for any type of cancer, or any difficulty in life of any sort, I think every human being should have this positive attitude that कर्म कर, फल की इच्छा मत कर, और अब हमारा कर्म है कि to take care, take precautions, go for screening and all that, and go for treatment, and don't delay it. of course, and then be your own, master and fight against the odds. Accept the reality. Running away from the reality is no solution. So there is one song कि साहिल की तरफ कश्ती कर ले, तूफान के थपेड़े सहना क्या, तू आप ही अपना माजी बन, मौजों के सहारे बहना क्या. Don't leave yourself to circumstances. Fight for it.
Okay, Savita ma'am, can you please share key takeaway message to all the audience that is watching?
So there are two very important message which I would like to convey on this platform. Is the very first thing is the insurance. I mean, this is very, very practical thing. I mean, we do depend on corporate, and we feel nothing is going to happen. But believe me, once I was diagnosed, now today I cannot have any other insurance, and we all know that cancer come with so much of expenses. So this is very important. I mean, whatever healthy you are, whatever it is, but to be on safer side, if possible, please get a health insurance. And the second thing is, do not shy away. I have already mentioned that, if you go for second opinion, it has happened with me in a cancer hospital. The radiologist was laughing at me and saying कि छोटे छोटे चीजों के लिए आप लोग आ जाते हैं, and can you imagine? I mean, I was happy internally because I was thinking it's nothing, but this is the way, the way I was getting the messages that, it cannot happen to a younger woman, and why you people are making fuss out of it. And I'm glad I made fuss out of it because it was third stage. It was not even early stage of cancer. So that's the message I want to convey. Go to oncologist, get your test done, and just rule it out. That's very important if any kind of symptoms come up.
Thank you so much. Thank you for taking out time and sharing your thoughts. Key takeaway message from Neeja ma'am.
I ran to my father when I was diagnosed and I said, Papa, I'm going to fight cancer.
Very good.
And this naval officer, captain of the ship, he turned around and he told me, Beta, why are you using the fight? It is negative. So I said, I felt my father would be proud of me, warrior, soldier, Aryan. I expected him to say, Vah, beta, vah. And he said, don't use the word fight. Fight is negative. Fight is aggressive. Fight is agitated. I said, then what should I do? Mera to the carpet was pulled from under my foot. I had gone prepared. Fight, mukka. And he said, don't fight it. Papa, what should I do? Face it. So the bottom line is, don't fight cancer or anything that comes into your life, anything negative. Face it, because hum honge kamyab.
Yes.
We will overcome. Wo gana to hai. So that is what I feel, that if we have the right attitude, we can overcome anything. So I always say I'm a conqueror, 25 years and counting, and don't fight it, face it. That is
Thank you so much, Neeja ma'am. Aditi ma'am, your key takeaway message for the audience.
So after all their key takeaways, I think one key takeaway for me is to go get myself checked regularly. But to our audience, I think all of us have lots of powerful women around us. To all the men also, please keep reminding all your wives to get themselves checked. They ignore themselves. Please don't ignore them.
And don't ignore yourself, because men also get breast cancer. So
That
they
is
should
true.
forget to check their own breast also.
Yes.
Very true, ma'am.
Thank you
Thank you.
so much. Thank you so much to all our esteemed panelists for taking out time from their schedules, imparting us with wealth of knowledge and information today. I would like to thank Dr. Neeti, Ms. Savita, Ms. C. Rekha, and Ms. Neerja, and also Ms. Aditi for taking out time and sharing us with all these stories, wonderful experiences, very powerful, inspirational journeys of with breast cancer, inspiring our audience in multitude of ways, not just information but real feelings and insights as well to the journey, and giving them hope to not take it as an end of life sentence, but consider it as the beginning to a beautiful new life, and be full of positivity and hope and faith. Thank you so much. I would also like to thank Novartis for this brilliant initiative of Breast Cancer Awareness Month, for raising awareness around breast cancer, for the Breast Cancer Awareness Month that we are in, with the hashtag India Fights Breast Cancer. Thank you so much. I would also like to thank all our audience for staying with us till the very end. I, Dr. Asavari Sawant, Public Health Specialist with IHW Council, your moderator for the show, sign off now with the message, stay happy, stay healthy, and bye-bye. Thank you.
And one more thing, age no bar. I'm 69, I'm cycling. I'm doing whatever I can. So I was 41 the first time, 44 the first time, 51 the second time, and I'm rocking. So may all of us rock and pass the rocking, because if you are courageous, you can pass the courage on to everyone like a single flame that lights up all the candles around. Thank you.
Very good, Neerja-ji. I am going to be 76 after a month.
Bah. Excellent. Advanced birthday wishes to
Thank
you
you.
and someone else who's
Aditi's birthday day after.
Aditi. All the best.
God bless you.
Love.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Strength.
Thank
Thank
you so much.
you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
And thank you. It was a good experience.
Thank you.